Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be filming the second part of my makeup collection, which is my eyeshadow palettes. So, before we actually get into it, I just want to say I'm not bragging about how many eyeshadow palettes I've got. I'm not bragging about anything. I just wanted to show you guys what I've collected and like what palettes I'd recommend and like what I like and stuff like that. I just wanted to put that in, just so I'm not bragging, I just want to show you guys. And the palettes I do have, I've either been given for my birthday or Christmas, or I've bought myself. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. And yeah. So, first palette. Oh, I'm gonna start. Let's just start here. This is the Too Faced Tickled Peach palette. Again, I have kept some of these palettes in the box because I like the box. But it looks like this, and then this is what my palette looks like. It's really pretty. It was one of the limited edition palettes at Christmas, but I really like that palette. Next two are the Kylie and Courtney palettes. This is the blue palette. I really like these palettes. I'm just going to say that now. I have used these quite a few times and I really like these. But this is the blue palette. And then, again, I've kept the boxes for these because I thought the boxes looked really pretty. And then this is the pink palette, which looks like this. I think this has got to be my favourite just because it's more like subtle and... Okay, next palette I've got is the I Heart Revolution, one of the like mini chocolate bar palettes. This is the nudes palette. It's really pretty. And it just looks like this. Again, I'd recommend that. I think they're like £6 in Superdrug. This is the e.l.f. eyeshadow palette in Nude Rose Gold. I got this for Christmas, I'm pretty sure. And it's really pretty. It's just like all rosy gold shades. Next palette I have got is this, which is the Soap and Glory Lid Stuff palette. Again, I quite like using this just as like an everyday palette. It's really good for travel because it's like quite small, but yeah. The only thing with that palette is it doesn't have the best pigmentation, but this is the Tiny Bird Cosmetics My Paradise Eye palette. I used to love this palette a few years ago, but I don't really use it now because the pigmentation isn't the best. But it is a pretty palette, I'll give it that. The next I'll do these four, just because I got these in a set. So these are 4 quads of eyeshadow. So I've got this, which is the Sweet Berry. Back to Natural, which is a very neutral. Warm Nudes. And Spotlight Glam, which this I got in a magazine. This is actually really good pigmentation. I'd like that. Next palette I have is this Sleek Makeup Eye Divine palette. I dropped the brush. I'd say this is more of a like smoky going out sort of palette, but it is really pretty. I got this palette in the Look Fantastic beauty boxes. This is the I Heart Revolution Dragon's Den palette, and it looks like this. It's really pretty. It's like the reddy sort of pink tones. And I also have the Unicorn's Heart palette, which looks like this. This is more like the blue sort of magical shades, if you know what I mean. And then this I would definitely recommend. This is the I Heart Makeup Chocolate and Peaches palette. I use this like as an everyday palette. It's really pretty. This is a dupe of the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, and honestly I think this is like £10 or something, and it's incredible. I use that nearly every day if I'm doing, like, if I need a brown sort of shade, I'll probably go to that palette. Next palette I have is the Estee Lauder. It's like a duo, and it's just these two like purpley pinky sort of shades. Next palette I have is the W7 Baby Violet palette. This is honestly so cute. It's got the purpley sort of shades. I'm pretty sure they've made this as a dupe of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette. But I really like it. I wouldn't know pigmentation wise because I don't have any Anastasia palettes, but I have seen like the shades and stuff, and they do look very similar. But this is the Revolution Pretty Incredible eyeshadow palette. Ooh. And it just looks like this. I really like this palette, especially that shade. I've used that quite a bit. But I think I love this palette. I love a lot of palettes, if you can tell. The next palette I have is the Revolution and Soph. This is their, I think this was their Christmas collab. One of their Christmas collabs. But again, I really like that. It's, my voice just went so weird. But this is the Kylie Jenner the Sort of Sweet palette. I really like this palette as well. I do have to be careful with it because one of the shades has smashed. I was really sad when that happened, but it just looks like this. Then if you open it, it looks like that. This shade at the bottom here is the one that's smashed, but I've sort of recovered it. So this is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, and this palette is really pretty. It's literally got any shade, more or less, that you didn't know you needed. Because I would say these are quite unusual shades, but they're also really pretty. So I haven't really used this palette either though. I've swatched it, but if you want to see me do like a look with this palette, let me know in the comments down below. This palette I have used quite a bit, and this is the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I really like this palette. It's I'd say this is more of like an everyday sort of like palette. It's really pretty. And I also have the Naked Cherry palette. When I saw this first got released, I was like, that is so pretty. It's literally just got every pink, like pinky purpley sort of shade. So pretty. I especially like these two shades here. That shade and that shade. I think they're just so pretty. I really like that palette. The next palette I have is the Primark Nude Addiction palette, and it just looks like this. I think it's really pretty as well. I have used this a few times and I actually really like it. The next palette is the W7 Colour Me Buff palette. I used to be obsessed with this when I first got it. I don't really use it that much now. But then I do also have these W7 palettes. This is the W7 Romance palette. I really love this palette. I've used this quite a few times. I'd say this is a dupe of the Anastasia Soft Glam palette as well. Like colour wise, I wouldn't know formula and sort of pigmentation wise because I don't have any Anastasia palettes, but this is really good. And also the Delicious palette. This is, I'd 100% say this is a dupe of the Modern Renaissance palette. Like, colour wise, it's so pretty. And I have actually used this palette for a look before and it's really nice. I also have, actually I'll show you this one first. This is the Too Faced Gingerbread palette. This is the first gingerbread spice palette they've done, I think. I can't really remember. But it just looks like this. It's really like, it's very Christmassy. It's got like all the pinky sort of Christmassy sort of shades. So pretty. And then this palette I honestly wanted for so long, and then I was just like, I'm gonna buy it because it's the Too Faced Sweet Peach. It smells so good. And actually, what I'm gonna do, so let me get, I want to see what they're actually like next to each other because I haven't seen what they're like next to each other. I'd say that's a pretty strong dupe, you know. So if you don't want to buy this palette, get this, like, if you want to buy this one but don't have the money, I'd go for this one because they're pretty similar shades. And this is really good quality. But, yeah, I do really like this palette as well. Again, I kept the box for the Sweet Peach palette because I really liked it. I just think it's really cute. And then the last palettes I have are all from Revolution. And I've got to say Revolution is probably my favourite brand for eyeshadow palettes. Like, they're £10, I'm pretty sure. For like one of these bigger palettes. These are like all £10. But they are really good quality as well. So I'm going to sort of do it in order. This is the first ever Revolution palette I got. I got it for Christmas from one of my friends at school. And this is the Flawless palette. And as you can see, it's been very well loved. I used to use this literally every day, especially these 3 gold shades. Especially that one. I used to love that shade. But yeah, I used to use that all the time. And then this one is the most recent one I got. Honestly, this packaging is so pretty. But it's the Life on the Dance Floor guest list palette. And honestly, like all of them, it's just the perfect like pinky, purpley, orangey, corally sort of palette you could ever want. I love this palette. And then the last two are the Soph palettes. This is the first palette she ever released. And again, this has been quite well loved, especially the gold. I love gold shades, if you can tell. But yeah, this is what this palette looks like. Love it. And then this is the second palette she brought out, and it's the Extra Spice palette. This is more of like sunset. I love both these palettes though, they're so pretty. But yeah, that is actually all my eyeshadow palettes I have. I'm just going to quickly put them back into this drawer. Oh, actually, I still have one more palette. It's just because because it's quite a big palette, it doesn't fit in my normal makeup drawers. But it's the Beauty Bay Origin 42 colour palette. I've got to say, this is, out of all my palettes, this has probably got to be one of the best, like one of my favourites. It's £25 for 42 shades like this. You get this massive mirror. Sorry about the ring light. Just put my finger in one of the shades. But it's so good. Love this palette. But yeah, that is all my eyeshadow palettes, I'm pretty sure. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. Comment what other videos you want to see me film. And yeah, like I said at the beginning though, I'm not bragging about any of it. I just wanted to show you my collection. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.